Ian Machado Garry. Do you guys remember when he first came onto the scene, there were all these memes of him paired with Hamzat, and the caption would be, the nice version of Conor McGregor, the evil version of Habib. And, you know, that caption probably still works for Hamzat, but I think it's safe to say Ian Garry is not the nice version of Conor McGregor. But not because of his recent controversy. No. It's because, well, he's just not that nice. Speaking of his controversy, though, I'm sure by now you guys have all watched Guru's video on the subject where he absolutely exposed Ian Garry horrifically. If you haven't watched that first, you can go ahead and skip Lucas Tracy's videos, but definitely watch Guru's. After really digesting everything, the best way I can describe this situation, it's just that it's sad. It is just so sad. That's the best way I can put it. Just seeing the state of this poor guy. It's like when you find out your grandparents have been paying AOL dial-up every single month the last 20 years. It's that kind of sadness. The kind of sadness where you just know, man, if I could have been there at the start, I could have prevented this. But it's too late now. Your grandparents have already dropped thousands of dollars, and Ian Garry is in so deep with this woman, he doesn't even know where the exit is anymore. Now, as you guys all already know, Ian's wife is a legitimate professional at attracting young and up-and-coming athletes, and I think she's hit the lottery with Ian. Because, look, the fact of the matter is, if you get hit in the head regularly at all, the likelihood of developing CTE is extraordinarily high. It's the absolute worst aspect of combat sports, but it is the unfortunate reality. The sad thing that often gets overlooked is that the burden falls on to these fighters' wives to have to take care of them later on in life. But do you think Ian's wife is going to be feeding him with a pitchfork when he's 60? No, she's going to be long gone. So she's found herself in the perfect little situation, hasn't she? With all this coming out, the internet has been doing what the internet does and has been absolutely memeing Ian Garry into the ground. And Ian's only response to all this is just to be like, oh well, it's just not true. Even though we know damn well it is true. And now his wife is coming out saying, oh, actually, I've read a book on being a lawyer before, so I'll just sue everybody. So all of you guys be warned. It's like, have these people ever been on the internet before? Did they genuinely, really, honestly believe that was going to work at all? Because all they're doing is perpetually making everything way worse. It's a tale as old as time. The internet comes after somebody of note. They become really embarrassed. They're getting tons of comments about it. People are making videos about it. And they're like, well, lawsuit. All you're doing is making yourself a bigger laughingstock. You cannot defeat the internet. Ian Garry has one option to make this better. Here's what he needs to do. He needs to name himself the Cougar Champion of the world. And whether it's true or not, he needs to come out and say, yes, I am being cucked by my wife's ex-husband, who is right now my current nutritionist. We all live together, and he sleeps in between me and my wife. It's called 8-miling yourself, and the reason it's gonna work in Ian Garry's case is because he is a really good fighter. If this was Paddy Pimblett going through this, I would just tell him it's over. I would tell him he's had a good life, but your time as a public figure of note is over. You're never coming back from this. It's time to liquidate all the assets you have, and I would try to purchase an underground nuclear bunker somewhere in northern Nevada and just live out the rest of your days there. But for Ian Garry, he's going to keep winning fights. And to continue to play up this controversy while winning, this is how he becomes a star. At UFC 296, he'll be fighting Vicente Luque. And Vicente Luque is going to be, without a doubt, the best fighter Ian Garry has ever faced. But purely skill for skill, I think he eats Vicente Luque alive. So Ian Garry, he started boxing at the age of 10. And after getting inspired by Conor McGregor, he started doing judo, where he got a black belt at the age of 18, and then had his first amateur MMA fight a year after that. but he fights like a legit, classically trained kickboxer. The best comparison I can give him is that he's like a welterweight Sean O'Malley. He doesn't quite have the knockout power that Sean has, but he's very tall and long for the weight. He's ridiculously fast, but his best aspect is his movement. Whenever you're fighting someone way taller and longer than you, you need to close the distance. You need to back them up to the edge of the octagon so they can't use their length to stay just out of range. And this is what most people try to do against Garry, but his footwork and his kicks makes this borderline impossible to do. His kicks have no telegraph at all. They're lightning fast. Calf kicks, head kicks, front kicks to the head. So you're trying to walk him down, but he's lighting you up with these kicks, keeping you at range, all while constantly moving and circling, making it really hard to cut him off. Having a lot of speed and a lot of length is an absolute cheat code for strikers. And the unfortunate thing about Vicente Luque is what he does plays into Ian's game so well. Luque is an absolute fan favorite. Everybody loves watching him, and that's because his fights are really exciting. And they're exciting because he is known for eating punches in order to give punches. He likes to march forward and try to land bombs, even if it's a bad idea to do that against certain opponents, like Wonderboy, for example. Well, Luque did have some success against Wonderboy for sure. At the end of the day, trying to walk down Wonderboy and land strikes is kinda asking to lose a decision. And then against Neil is a power puncher who loves landing combinations in the pocket. Well, Luque again gave him exactly what he wanted, walked him down, stood in the pocket, and he got finished. Now, Luque is a really high-level grappler with great submissions, but his approach typically isn't very takedown heavy. It's just not what he does best. So in this matchup, the most likely scenario I see happening is Luque constantly trying to walk Ian Garry down, but just being a step behind in every exchange. I think he'll be a good test for Ian. I'd like to see him really try to attack Gary's legs, try to limit some of his movement. But unless he's able to land something big, I think Ian's just going to pick him apart. And that is why Ian Garry still has life after this controversy. All of this pushing back against it, threatening lawsuits, playing dumb about it. You're just looking stupider and stupider as this all goes on. You cannot take yourself this seriously when the internet finds out that you're a cuck. You just need to embrace the cuck. Anything is possible these days. Sean Strickland is legit trailer trash, and he is now the UFC champion. Well, Ian Garry can easily, and I mean easily, become the first ever cucked UFC champion in existence. And make a whole lot of money doing it. I'm thinking a merch line, I'm thinking a reality TV show. He's set, even after fighting with this strategy. But he just needs to take my advice.